Hey, so we're all stuck at home and I thought I would do my makeup. So that's what we're gonna do today. Um, Everything's been kind of crazy in the world today, but just a reminder, everybody stay calm, stay at home, give yourself some social distance, do what you've got to do, take care of your family. I've got a baby. This is very real life right now. She is pretty happy at the moment, so we'll see how she does. Okay, so I'm gonna start with, I really like to use a couple of different things. Let me start first. Before I do my makeup, because I've had like a lot of friends ask me, before I do my makeup, I always moisturize. And I personally, this isn't the product I use, but this is the brand I use. The CeraVe moisturizers are really awesome. I really like them for me. They're really good for my skin. I'm prone to eczema. I have a lot of dryness, so I like to use CeraVe products. They're really good. So after I moisturize, then I use the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer on my nose and any place I have big pores, and pretty much any place that like my makeup usually slides off by the end of the day. So I use that, and then I just use an eyelid primer. You can pretty much use any primer. I don't know, I feel like they're all kind of the same. I think the drugstore has tons of good options. So I personally use this. It's from IT Cosmetics for my foundation. It's got 50 plus SPF. With my history of melanoma, I like to have SPF in my products, so that's why I use that. And I use like barely any because you don't need a lot. And I mostly just use this like where I need it, which is all over. A little bit all over. It helps cancel out redness. It's a color corrector, so I really like it. Maybelline has a dupe for it, and I've never tried it, but I've heard really good things about it. So I like Maybelline products a lot. They're owned by Lancome, who also owns L'Oreal, who also owns, I think, Urban Decay. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. But anyways, it's a good product. I really like it. For me, for my skin type, I tend to be really, really dry. So it's really nice for my skin and it helps even it out. The lighting in here isn't the best. You can't like see all of the imperfections on my face, but I have a lot of them. I have a lot of discoloration and a lot of redness, especially after babies. That's just kind of how it goes. I'm also gonna peek in my like big mirror because I need to see what I'm doing here. And it's hard to look in a phone and do that, so. Okay, so that's it. That's all I do. Sometimes I drag it down a little bit more, not a lot. I hardly use any. It's mostly just to even out my redness. Then the next step, eyebrows. I feel like eyebrows, I have to do those first, otherwise it starts looking crazy. My makeup does not really come together very well, so I'm gonna use another mirror, very dirty mirror, and I'm gonna do my eyebrows real quick. So I like to use the Maybelline Brow Ultra Slim. That's what I'm using right now. I usually would use the Maybelline Brow Precise, but they don't have it right now, or at least at the stores I go to, they didn't have it, so I just got this instead. And I like it, it's fine. It's got a spoolie on one end, so you can like brush through your eyebrows if you need to. My eyebrows are really sparse, so it's kind of, I don't know. It really helps me having like a really easy little pencil to use. And I have made the mistake, I'm sure like many of us have, of going like way too dark at times with eyebrows. And so I've learned, don't go too dark. Never go too dark. So I actually use a soft brown. My hair is almost black. My natural hair color is very dark. So yeah, I just use like a lighter colored brown. And I kind of just follow the natural shape of like where my eyebrows are, but also I say like a lot. I don't know why. I just do. I just follow the natural shape and kind of draw it out a little bit further. You can do the whole measuring thing that a lot of people teach you, but this is just what I do. It works for me. If you mess up, you can just like wipe it off because that's what I do. Also, I'm typically doing makeup, if I do my makeup, holding a baby, so this is very, very accurate to real life right now. And it makes it more difficult. Okay, so I do my eyebrows really quick, and then I set them with hairspray of all things, and I'll show you how I do that in a minute. I'm trying to be quick so you can kind of see what I do, kind of real time. This is, again, basically what I do every day. And I'm gonna grab another mirror because my eyesight, I feel like, isn't always fantastic. So, like, away from the mirror. So I have to kind of use it to get up close. So yeah, so I use a lighter brown. It's called soft brown. I think, like, if you have dark hair like me, it's good to kind of go just like a little bit lighter than your natural hair color. Unless your natural eyebrows are just so dark and thick, then you shouldn't really do that. Oh, sorry, Haley. But my eyebrows are not naturally thick. I was not blessed with thick eyebrows like my mother. My mother has like the perfect eyebrows, and I'm very jealous of them. And if she's watching, she knows what I'm talking about. Okay, so not perfect, but that's pretty much what I do every day. Oh, it's okay. The baby's getting grumpy, so we're gonna bounce a little bit. Not perfect, again, it's what I do every day, pretty much. And especially when I'm in a hurry, this step kind of takes a back seat a little bit. I do it really, really, really quick. So then I brush through it a little bit with the spoolie, and I kind of just fill in where it's like looking really sparse or looking light. And yeah, that's about it. Pretty easy. I used to really like to use like pomades and stuff, the kind that you would dip into with a brush. But I find that this is a much quicker application. I don't have time really to do that anymore. I used to have a lot more time, but with having two babies relatively close together, life got exponentially more, or time is exponentially more valuable, I feel like. Okay, oh, I'm gonna set these real quick. Well, I'll set them at the end, never mind. Okay, so then I love this fluffy brush. I really like a really fluffy brush. I clean it between applications. And then I really like this palette from Too Faced. It's just what I've used for a really long time, this same palette. I just bought a new one recently, actually. I've used it that long that I needed to buy a new one. I start with this really light color, and I kind of just put it from the mid-eyelid up to the brow bone. And it's just a light color. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna set the primer that I put on my eyes, and it's gonna act as a really good transition for the colors I'm gonna add. And I know you probably can't even really see a lot of the detail because I'm kind of far away, but this is what we're gonna do. All right, so once that's on, it's really easy. Then I go to the lightest contouring shade, which is a matte brown. And you should, for me, I like to use matte colors in my crease. That's just maybe a personal preference, but I do. So I use that lightest matte brown color, and I go into my crease of my eyelid back and forth. I don't have hooded eyes, but I have pretty almond shaped eyes. They're very almondy, so I like to try and do things that open them up a little bit. Again, I was not blessed with big eyes like my mother. My mom has the most amazing eyes, the most amazing eyelashes, and the most amazing eyebrows. And I'm jealous of her all the time because of that. So, to some people, it would seem a curse. To others, it's what I want. So, this baby's being pretty cool right now. She's a super chill baby, and she's really awesome, and we love her. And she makes life better. Anna is asleep. If Anna was awake, this video would not be half as quiet as it is now. She is a total spitfire, and I don't know, if she could talk more, I wouldn't want to know what she's saying to me sometimes. She's just got that kind of attitude. She's funny. All right, so then I'm gonna take this kind of shimmery champagne color right here. I don't do this color every day on the eyelid, but lately I've been kind of doing it because I've been really tired and the bags under my eyes have been more pronounced. You can't see it on the camera as much, but they've been really pronounced under my eyes. I'm not sleeping. So I take this and I put my finger in it actually. Clean hands, people, clean hands. Stop COVID. And I just pat it onto my eyelid. Kind of, I don't go all the way up into the crease, I just go up to the crease. And you can kind of see where I'm just kind of highlighting my lid. And that's the goal. So I want to open my eye up and make it look a little bigger than it naturally is. So then I'm going to do it to the other side. And block your view naturally. I'm going to kind of move to see if you can see. I mean, I'm literally just patting it onto my eye. Not very hard, just really soft. But it just helps the color remain really pigmented. And another trick, you can take a brush, like a flat brush or something, and you can actually get it wet with water or with setting spray, and you can put it on that way, and it'll keep its pigment really well if you do it that way. But again, I just don't have time for that half the time. So, okay, so then I'm gonna clean my brush between uses, clean my brush, then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna blend on the edges. I'm gonna blend between those two colors because otherwise it's gonna look really stark and kind of crazy. And we don't want to look crazy. I mean, I'm cool looking crazy sometimes, but maybe not every day. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with this so this is the lightest matte brown, this slightly darker matte brown. It really doesn't matter what palette you use though. I can't stress that enough. I don't feel like it really matters at all. This is just a palette that I really like. I really like the colors. I like how neutral it is. That's why I use it. But I really don't think it matters. And then I'm just gonna focus kind of on the outer corner of the eye with the same fluffy brush. I think I got this brush on Amazon, no joke, in some sort of a kit, like a cheap Amazon kit, and it was great. That's what I recommend to all my friends. Go on Amazon and just look up the best reviewed makeup brushes because it's easy. They send them to your house and you don't have to go and shop in a store for hours trying to find something that you want, especially if you don't have time to do that, which I don't. So I like Amazon. There are another drugstore brand. I do have some of their brushes. It's Real Techniques. I like them a lot too. But I just don't think you need to use really expensive drugstore products or really expensive luxury products all the time. I think that drugstore is just fine. So that's just my opinion. Okay, so I've kind of blended it a little bit. I'm gonna go in and clean my brush one more time, and then I'm just gonna go over and blend the edges really quick again. And that's like my upper lids are done. That's it, that's all I do. Then I'm gonna go underneath the eye. I can use that same fluffy brush, but what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna use a little smudging brush. It's just like a really tiny, just kind of like a domed round little tiny brush. In fact, I'm gonna use this one instead. It's the same thing, but it's by e.l.f. and it's only $1. I wanna say it's $1, I think. I think I got it at Walmart like, I don't know, 5 years ago. So I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna take that, that really light brown, and I'm gonna go underneath the eye with it. So I'm gonna go right along my lash line. I do not line the lower parts of my eyes, and honestly, most of the time I don't even line my eyes. Sometimes I do, but typically I just use eyeshadow to do that. So I'm just gonna go kind of under my eye along the bottom, and all that's gonna do is kind of tie the colors together that are up above. Then I'm gonna take that slightly darker mid-tone color, and I'm just gonna focus this on the outside corner of the under part of my eye, on the lower lash line. I'm trying to be quick because I feel like I'm taking longer just because I'm explaining everything, but when I just do this, it's pretty quick. Okay, eyes are done. Like, I'm done. I'm not gonna do anything else. I might highlight a little bit, but eyes are pretty much done. So yeah, that's it. Then I'm gonna put this palette away because I don't need it. Then I'm gonna go ahead and do my concealer. I always wait until after I do my Obviously I do my foundation first, then I do my eyes, then I do my concealer, because usually I have some fallout underneath my eyes from my makeup. Now I use the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. I like it, it's good. I have no issues with drugstore products. I really enjoy drugstore a lot. And I've used pretty much everything under the sun for makeup products. I've used higher end stuff. I've used a lot of drugstore stuff. I just gravitate towards the same stuff over and over again. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's drugstore, if it's high end, if I like it, I like it. So that's kind of my attitude on products. That's why I don't really think it matters what you use, just whatever works for you. Most of us probably have all this stuff in our makeup bags already. You have a concealer you like, you have eyeshadows you like, you have brushes you like. Oh man, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it the other day. How did I do my makeup as a teenager without brushes? I never used brushes. I always use those little sponge applicator things. And that's what everybody used, I feel like. I never used brushes though. And I don't know how I did that. Now, back then I just did it. Okay, so I concealed a little bit of the darkness. Again, you can't really see it on the camera because the light's a little weird in here. So it's kind of like the light's really bright, so it's like reflecting. I'm trying to get closer. That does not help. Okay. So then I just have a little palette, like a highlight and bronzing palette. It's called the Manizer Sisters. It's by The Balm. It's just what I have right now. I don't know that I'll repurchase it when I run out. Honestly, it's just what I have right now. So it's just one of those things that I have. Then I'm going to take just a little kind of a round brush. This one's by Real Techniques. It doesn't really matter. You can pretty much use anything. You could use something like this too, like a fluffier brush. It doesn't really matter. But I'm going to take this and I'm going to kind of carve out my cheekbones a little bit. And then, because I do have naturally high cheekbones, I do like to accentuate that a little bit, especially after having a baby with all that post-baby weight. That's not a big deal. So that looks a little intense, but we'll blend it out. And so I like to just kind of put it in the cheek, right, like the hollow of your cheek. I try to go right above that. That's kind of like my trick a little bit, just because I feel like if you go right in the hollow of your cheek, you can get a little bit too low. And then I kind of dust it around the outsides of my forehead. I have a pretty large forehead, actually. I have a very square-shaped face, which is just how I was born. Everyone has a different face shape, but I have a very square face shape and really high cheekbones. And I get it from my dad. And so I like to just kind of minimize some of it a little bit. And I do that with a little bit of bronzer. And it also brings a little color back to the face, because once you put on foundation, it kind of makes your face look pretty flat and all one color. And all of our faces have lots of colors going on in them, so it's important to add a little bit of color back to it if you're going to wear foundation. So then in the middle of this palette, I'm going to use this blush color and put that just on my cheeks and kind of up and out. Not super, I don't know, I'm not super precise about this part. This blush is really forgiving. I don't feel like it's super strong, and so I kind of put it like on my chin, on my nose, a little bit on my forehead. I just like to add color back into my face, especially since I can't really get tan anymore, because unless I want to do a fake tanner, which sometimes I like to, but after the skin cancer, I have to be kind of careful with my skin, which I guess we should all be careful with our skin all the time, but I have to be exceptionally careful now. Okay, one thing I forgot. I have a pretty strong jawline. I mean, it's very angular, but I do like to kind of go along the jawline just a little bit with some of that. You know, sometimes we got a little double chin going on. Just depends. Depends on the time of year, when I had a baby last, stuff like that. So that's what I do with that. Then I'm just gonna pat under my eyes, make sure that the concealer that I put on is nice and set. A lot of people like to powder under their eyes. I do not personally, because my skin is so naturally dry. I cannot powder under my eyes because if I do, it looks super cakey. Now, I think everyone's different. I think some people powder under their eyes and it's not a big deal. But I'm just gonna grab a little bit of hairspray and a little, like, it's a mascara applicator, a spoolie. And I take some of my hairspray, doesn't matter what kind, I've used all different kinds, and I set my eyebrows with this real quick. This is the best, the best trick I've found or learned from other people to set eyebrows, because none of the gels work. My eyebrows are always all over the place. They're really fine and sparse, so I want to keep those puppies down. So that's it. Yeah, rinse that off real quick. Oh, the last step I do with my eyes, I did forget to do this. We might just skip it today, but a lot of times what I would do is I would take this darker color, boom, this darker color here, and I would usually use that kind of as like a liner on the outer corner of my eye. In fact, I'll just do a little bit just to kind of show you what I do. So I use any kind of, I might use the smaller one. I'll just use this one, the same one I used. So far I've only used 2 brushes for my eyes, so I'm gonna use this little domed e.l.f. brush. I think it's an e.l.f. smudge brush is what it's called. And I'm just gonna kind of dip into that color and kind of tap it off, because this color is really, it falls out really easily. So then I'm just gonna kind of go in the outer corner and just kind of almost like I'm just gonna smudge it along the lash line. That's actually what I'm gonna do with it. Right along the lash line. It doesn't make a huge difference, but you can kind of see a little bit. It does for me. I like the way it looks. I think it looks better on me personally. My eyes kind of, again, being almond shaped, I kind of like to accentuate the outside of my eye to kind of bring it out and up. But okay, so that's pretty much it. Then I'm just gonna take this same palette that had the bronzer and the highlighter and the blush, and I'm just going to dip into the highlighter. There are so many highlighters at the drugstore, and I feel like tons of them are good. I think Maybelline has some really good ones. I know Wet n Wild has some, and I don't know, I just feel like the drugstore really has a lot going. I usually highlight just like the top of my lip a little bit, and then on my chin, kind of like the high points of my face. It's so hard for you to see my face. I'll move this at the end so you can kind of see what it actually looks like in real light, in natural light. Sometimes I go down a little bit on my nose. Okay, so that's it. That's what I do for my face. I would usually spray a setting spray. I've used everything. I've used Wet n Wild. I've used better drugs or higher end products. I actually, of all the products I use, I like 2 the most. One is called MAC. It's by MAC, and it's Fix Plus. You can get it at a MAC store at Ulta. Fix Plus setting spray. It's like a prep and prime. So you can prime with it, you can set with it. And then this one's the Urban Decay All Nighter. I really, really, really like this one a lot. It has a really fine mist and it sets really well, and you can get it in a gigantic bottle that pretty much lasts me a year. So I like that personally. Also, I really like this lip liner I was going to show you by Essence. It's at the drugstore. It's called In the Nude. And I just like it because it's just like a really basic color. If I want to add a little bit of color to my lips, I can. I don't always. Usually I just go with chapstick, because why bother with lipstick half the time? But I'm going to do it today just because it's kind of fun sometimes. And sometimes I overline my lips, sometimes I don't. It just depends on what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I want to look like. This baby is like super, super chill, which is awesome. This mirror is so dirty. this little mirror I'm holding. That's called kids. It's called 2-year-old hands on everything. Nothing is sacred in my house anymore. I'm so glad she is asleep right now. Can I say that? Yes, I can. I'm glad she's asleep. Because as much as I love her, sometimes it's a little exhausting being a mom to 3 kids. Last step. So after, I would usually set my face now, but since the baby's here, I'm not going to setting spray all over. I don't want her to breathe it in. She does not know to hold her breath, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to curl my eyelashes and go ahead and put on some mascara. I'm going to show you really quick what I like to use. I like a couple of products. So first, it's this Voluminous Base. It's by L'Oreal. I really, really like L'Oreal's products. I like their lash products. I like their Voluminous Carbon Black mascara is really good. This is my favorite mascara that I've tried from them. It's the Voluminous Lash Paradise. It's really good. I like it a lot. And then I also really like this. This is a higher end. I got this on sale around Christmas time, but it's by Lancome, who owns L'Oreal, so duh, they're a really, similar product. But this Monsieur Big is just a mascara from Lancome, and I really like that too. But I typically always prime my eyelashes just because I feel like it helps them get a little bit of length. I don't know if other moms feel this way, but I feel like I've lost some volume in my lashes since I've had babies. I know that our hair goes through a resting phase, and so I lose hair like crazy after babies. Usually, I want to say probably a few months after I have babies, I lose hair, a lot of hair. But I wonder if anyone else is like losing eyelashes. I feel like my eyelashes and also my eyebrows are starting to thin. And I think it's just an age thing for women. Just tons of blessings, tons of blessings. So I'm just curling these really good. One of my eyelashes always looks amazing, and then the other one always looks crazy, and I don't know why. One of them just does not curl or stay up as much. It just depends. So I'm kind of a little obsessive probably with curling them just because I want them to stay curled. So then I take my base, and it's white. It's a white product, and I just kind of coat my lashes with that. I try not to do a ton because then you have to cover all of that, and then it ends up being like super goopy. So I put this on. Then I do the other one. Boom goes the dynamite. So being in quarantine isn't that big of a change for me right now because we had a baby right at the beginning of the coronavirus concerns. So when we were in the hospital, they were actually doing the whole, have you been to China? Have you been in contact with anyone who's been to China? All those questions when they checked us in. And so honestly, I had no idea really what it was then until we went in, and I don't know, maybe I just hadn't watched enough news, but because I feel like sometimes the news can be depressing. At least certain channels. But yeah, I didn't really know what it was, and now it's kind of crazy. And so with all of it kind of blowing up and getting kind of out of control, this whole shutdown or lockdown, whatever you want to call it, in Washington and in parts of the country kind of came after we were already keeping our baby home for that period of about 8 weeks. After we have babies, we keep them home for about 8 weeks, and that's to reduce. We typically have babies in the winter. Seems like every one of our babies has been born either right during, right in the middle, or right at the end of flu and RSV season. So this baby was born right in the thick of flu and RSV season, and there were lots of cases of flu and RSV when we had her at the hospital. I have a friend who works as a nurse in pediatrics, and she said that it was just really crazy at that time. She couldn't even come visit us at the hospital because she had been in contact with so many diseases, she said that day, and it was just she didn't want to spread anything to us. But, so we had already kind of been isolating anyways because that's what our pediatrician recommended with the baby at least. So we don't take her into stores. We weren't going to closed groups. I was kind of keeping her home from church, stuff like that. So then when everything came out that we need to stay home now, we were finally getting to the end of what I thought was, oh, we can finally start getting out and being around more people and enjoying life a little bit more. And now we're still home, so it's okay. We get out, we walk, we work in the garden, we play in the yard, so we're good. But it's just, you know, when you kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, and then it's like, oh no, gotta stay home. Everybody's gotta stay home. But we're doing it for a good cause, mostly to keep other people safe, and also to keep, you know, to keep us ourselves safe too, but mostly to keep at-risk populations, the at-risk and the population safe. So I think that's awesome. I'm just babbling, but I'm just putting on a few coats of mascara because that's what I always do, because it makes them look bigger and fuller. More full, fuller, more full, fuller. Sure, we'll go with that. Okay, do the other one, and then I think we'll be done. And then I'll try and show you in the natural light what it looks like. I'm using the Monsieur Big mascara today. Again, I don't think it really matters. I know that everybody just use what works for you. I just don't think it really matters what you use, as long as it works for you and what you need it to do. I personally cannot wear waterproof mascara because it's super hard to get off at the end of the day. And, you know, when I only have time for like a 5-minute shower or less with a baby, I don't want something that I'm gonna have to work to get off of my face. So I need something that's really easy. So I actually don't wear waterproof anymore, which proves problematic at times, but I just do my best not to cry, I guess. I don't lose my makeup. Then I'm just gonna grab a Q-tip really quick because I always get mascara on my eyelid. I don't know why, I just always do. I have a weird thing. And so then I just kind of like blend it in with the eyeshadow that's on my eyelid, so it doesn't look all crazy. If I line my eyes, I don't have to worry about it because it just kind of blends in with the liner, but I don't line my eyes very often, so that's just kind of a risk I run with not lining my eyes. And then I'm going to use the Voluminous Paradise on the bottom lashes just because, for whatever reason, I feel like the other one, the Lancome one, doesn't really last on my bottom lashes as much. I don't know why, but I'm just going to do like the tiniest amount. I don't use a lot of mascara on my bottom lashes. Also, the way I have my phone set up right now is amazing. I have it strapped to my mirror with painter's tape, which is awesome because I am not a professional videographer, so this is what I figured out. I'm just gonna put a little more mascara in 1 or 2 places. I'm weird about my mascara. It probably takes me the longest of anything, just because I really like to have long lashes, but I don't really like to wear false lashes very often, and I don't get lash extensions or anything because A, they're expensive, but also I don't really have 2 hours to go sit in a chair every couple weeks, so which is, you know, someday I will have that time, and that will be amazing, and maybe I'll do that. Okay, so now I'm gonna unstick this, and I'm gonna show you what this looks like in the light. Now I have not done my hair. I'm probably not gonna do my hair today, honestly. Oh, dirty shower. I'm probably not going to do my hair because why? I just don't care. It'll probably be in a bun anyways. So this is the end look. This is what it looks like. It's hard to kind of tell. I'm just kind of in window light right now, and it's really gray outside, so it's a little bright. Yeah, that's not really working so well. Okay, let me get in better light here. Maybe. Yeah, so this is it. That's all I do every day. Usually it does not take me this long at all, but explaining all the steps obviously takes a little longer. And you got to enjoy a nice little one-sided conversation with a very long-winded person because I love to talk. So, okay, that's it. And I hope you enjoyed this quarantine video. Bye.